You're listening to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Each week, I'm going to be interviewing top realtors from coast to coast to give you a backstage pass on how they've created their amazing real estate empires and how you can copy them. Hi, everyone. This is real estate coach Craig Proctor, and welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. My special guest today is the legend, the man himself, longtime 30-year Craig Proctor coach and master trainer from California, Mr. James MacDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Craig. Yes, it has been quite a journey. When you say 30 years, it's hard to believe. I was only 8 when we met.
That's right.
And started. But yes, I'm looking forward to this and offering some good advice and suggestions.
Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Agents are freaking out. We've got all these changes happening. Approximately 49% of the agents last year in the United States sold one house or less. Okay, that's a fact. And this is, up until now, agents have been able to say to a buyer, I do this stuff for you and all my services are free. So let's be honest about this. That means 49% of the agents struggled to be successful when they were able to say to buyers, my services are free. Now the new rules are you meet with a buyer, you got to sign the buyer up to a buyer agency agreement. And you've got to talk right off the get-go before you've even built a relationship with them. You got to talk about, so to hire me, it's going to cost whatever it is, $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000. So listing agents will be fine. Listing agents have always been doing much better than agents that work with buyers. But are we suggesting that you're not going to get a commission when you work with a broker? Yes, you are, but not the way you've been doing it. So we have you covered. We have been teaching agents how to negotiate their fee direct with the buyer for the last 10 years. And James, maybe you can talk about why 10 years, we were talking about teaching real estate agents don't just accept the commission being offered by the listing agent or the seller. Here's why you want to learn how to negotiate your own fee directly with the buyer.
Yeah, the agents that we work with in our coaching system, they become the top producers in their own respective marketplaces. And to allow another agent who's likely, maybe a rookie agent or a low producing agent to dictate what they get paid, really, if you look at it that way, it's absurd. We have the top agents in any marketplace, and they're allowing some realtor that just got their license, who's never sold a house, to dictate the amount of money they get paid. Doesn't wash well. So for many, many years, first of all, it started with, as standard practice, we get a seller to sign a listing contract. We get a buyer to sign a buyer contract. The buyer hires you exclusively to represent them in the transaction. It's a loyalty agreement. The next step was determining that we're going to negotiate a minimum fee regardless of what is being offered from the listing agent to the cooperating buyer's agent. And yeah, that's been years and years in the making. And the reason isn't because it's a problem everywhere, but there are some marketplaces where the only reason that agent was able to get the listing is because they did it for 3.5%, and they're offering a percentage to the cooperating broker. Now, some of you might be thinking, on my marketplace, that would never fly. Well, there are marketplaces where that was happening, and the top producing agent is, no, I'm not accepting 1%. I get paid 3% or 3.5% or 4% or whatever it might be. So that goes into the buyer contract, and it's negotiated from the proceeds of sale, negotiated from the seller. Now, let me just back up 1 second and say this. None of this is possible without an excellent presentation in the first place. That is the ball game. You won't get a listing without an excellent listing presentation, and you won't get a buyer not only to hire you exclusively, but to agree to pay your fee if you don't have an excellent buyer presentation. And that is where the rubber hits the road, because the overwhelming
it's funny, James, because
they don't have one.
We say that to some agents, and what's your conversion rate when you meet with buyers and sellers? And they'll say, oh, it's like 80%. I don't really have a great listing presentation. And then we find out they sold 2 homes last year. One was their mother, and the
Right.
other one was Aunt Lucy. Obviously, if you're selling to relatives and friends, friends and relatives.
It's like saying one of them was
Yeah,
my own listing, and I
right.
almost didn't get it.
Yeah, but to sell to strangers, first of all, you need a method of attracting them. So they're calling you, you're not calling them. And then let's examine the listing side. You didn't do anything for a seller without meeting with the seller, having a great presentation, and getting the seller to say yes to you, and they're signing an exclusive agreement, right? And you know what you're going to get paid. And before they sign the listing agreement, you're not running out there doing open houses or spending money on marketing and advertising. But a lot of agents were doing this with buyers, right? Saying, my services are free. And for many agents, they were only getting the buyer contract signed at the last possible moment. So when the buyer was ready to make an offer on a property, they were basically, getting the representation, the buyer representation agreement signed at the very possible minute because they had to do that in their area. But you want to get this, done right away. As soon as you meet a buyer, and that's going to be the new rule, as soon as you meet a buyer, you can't start showing them houses until you have a representation agreement signed, and it clearly spells out to the buyer how you're going to get paid. Okay, so back 10 years ago when we were teaching agents, hey, wait a minute, when you're working with a buyer, don't just accept 1% or 2% or whatever. You're worth more. We're going to show you how to negotiate 3, 4, 5%. Remember, commissions are negotiable. You can charge whatever you want, but we want to show you how, if you've got the best services and the best products, you should be able to command a higher price, just like in any other industry. If you want the best architect, it's going to cost you more money. If you want the best surgeon, it's going to cost you more money. Well, we coach agents up to be the best agents. I mean by that, to offer more products and services and get them better results. So what we found is the buyers will pay a premium fee to get premium products and services, a premium experience. So will all buyers do this? No. This is why we want to attract gazillions of buyers. So the buyers are going to fight you and not work your way or won't pay you the fee that you believe you deserve. You don't need to work with them. You've got lots of other buyers coming in your pipeline that'll work your way and pay you, if you follow this system. But what is the system? Leads come in, okay, lots of them. We get to pick and choose because we got too many buyer leads coming in. We get to pick and choose which buyers we want to work with. And we have a presentation, as James said, we have a really good presentation to compel the buyer to not only want to work with us and only with us, but to actually, they're willing to pay us a fee. Now, that fee, if it was in excess, the fee to our buyer, if it was more than what was being offered to the buyer agent through MLS, our buyer was always responsible for the difference, but we tried to get the seller to pay for it. And now that the commission box in July is going away, the commission box in MLS, the buyer is going to be responsible for the entire, whatever you negotiate, 3%, 4%, the buyer is going to be responsible for all of that, except for we are allowed to still negotiate our commission inside the offer, purchase, and sale. That's how we're going to do it. And, brokerages,
So
franchises.
It's going to come from the same place it's always come from, proceeds of sale.
Proceeds of sale, right? People ask, well, who pays the commission? Some of you would say, well, the seller pays the commission. And some of you would say, well, if there wasn't a buyer, there would be no sale and there would be no commission. So the buyer pays the commission. The truth is, the commission comes from the proceeds of sale. Without a willing buyer and a willing seller, there would be no transaction. There would be no proceeds. So this is how this is going to work. It's still going to come from the proceeds of sale. If you're coached up on how to do this, this is what you're going to be able to say to a buyer. My fee is, let's say, for example, 4%. And I know some of you are freaking out. Oh, my buyers would never pay that. It's because you don't know how to do it. But let's say because we have literally hundreds of agents all over the United States and Canada doing this. So my fee, let's say, is 4%. Okay. Now, the buyer is ultimately responsible for this, but we say to the buyer, we're going to negotiate inside the offer, purchase, and sale that the seller of the home that you're buying is actually going to pay our fee as closing costs. Okay. Unless you want to write us a check for 30 or 40 grand or whatever, would you prefer us try to get the seller to pay for the fee? And of course they say, obviously, I would like the seller to try to get the seller to pay for it. So, James, this is going to thin the crowd in real estate. What do you think?
Yeah, of course it's going to. And that is not a bad thing, is it, everybody? Like,
No,
who agrees?
we complained about this for years. Too many
Right.
real estate agents. There's a glut of real estate agents, a whole bunch of people that aren't serious about their business. They're part-timers. They're selling 1 or 2 houses a year. Well, who do you think is going to be leaving? The top producing agents or the agents that are struggling, that are doing 0, 1, 2, 3 transactions? Obviously, it'll be the agents that are struggling.
Yeah, I don't
So
run into too many agents that suggest there aren't enough. We need more realtors. If only it was easier to get a real estate license and more. You don't hear that. It only goes one way, which is we've made it far too easy to get into real estate, but now it's going to be really easy to get out of real estate. And that's a good thing if you have the right strategies and skills. You are going to hit a gold mine. This is a massive opportunity because you know what isn't going to change? People having to move. People are going to move. They're going to move. They're going to, people are going to have job promotions. They're going to have growing families. They're going to downsize. They're going to get divorced. There are all kinds of reasons. And that will never change. The number of sales is going to be what it's going to be. But the number of realtors involved is going to shrink. And if you can figure this out, you can, it's just massive opportunity, quite obviously.
yeah, whenever we have huge changes in the industry, we lose a lot of realtors who just don't keep up with the times. They cannot articulate their value proposition with buyers and sellers. And frankly, like we said, most of them were struggling before these changes. So this will be good news for those of you that are watching this. I know you're serious about your real estate career. So we're talking about really implementing some solid systems in your business. First is going to be a very solid lead generation system. So you're not calling leads. So that people, buyers and sellers are calling you. If you have to call leads, they're not picking up the phone. It's going to be a struggle for you. And if your entire business of telling people who you are and what you do relies on you making phone calls, that's been very difficult for you. So what we teach you is how to have an online presence so you can tell your community, the people that live in your area, who you are, what you do, what makes you different and better. And you can do that on video, just like right now. I'm giving you a good presentation and I'm not sitting at your kitchen table, right? I don't need to talk to you on the phone. Could you imagine if I tried to call you folks and say, hey, I'm doing a podcast here at James today. Most of you, I would never get on the phone, right? So it is possible for you to create this omnipresence in your marketplace that is not expensive, where basically on a short video, you tell people, this is who I am, this is what I do, these are the services I provide, this is what makes me different and better, okay? Now, the leads that come in are going to be served up this video. How are they going to get the video? When they search you online, it's going to be on your Facebook page, obviously, it's going to be on YouTube, it's going to be on LinkedIn, everywhere online. When they do a Google search of your area, they're going to find you and they're going to know who you are, what you do, what makes you different and better. Also, the first thing I would do, I would teach you what to say on this video about you to set yourself apart. And then we would email or text message a link to that video to your entire database, because you've got a whole bunch of unconverted leads, people you haven't been able to reach on the phone, that they're more likely going to click on your email, click on your text or watch this video. They're way more likely to do that than answer the phone. So your issue is you need more people to know who you are, but not just know who you are. They need to understand what services you provide, what makes you different, what makes you better. If you do a good job of all that, what happens is people call you. They say, I'm ready to buy a house or I'm ready to sell a house. So we want inbound calls. That's the new call to action, not us chasing them. We're going to reverse all this and they're going to be chasing us. Okay, so that's a little bit about how to get the clients, because I know our conversation so far is about how we're going to get paid. Well, if you don't have any buyers, you don't need to worry about how to get paid.
Let's not pick out the color of Bentley we're getting just yet.
Right. Exactly. You don't start counting your money or thinking about what vacation you're going to go on until you figure out how the getting of the customers, right? So James and I are right now talking about the getting of the customers and the fact that you can't just rely on people you know if you want to have a good real estate business. And I'm going to let James give you a couple of analogies here. But James, you've heard that many real estate agents that we speak to, they're like, well, 80% of my business is referrals. And you find out, well, they sold 10 homes last year. Maybe you want to give the restaurant analogy.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, and that's the difference. That's the transition that you have to make is no one's suggesting not to do business with friends and family and people that you know, but you got to understand that that is going to be extremely limiting. And any real successful business, the overwhelming of that business comes from people you don't know. It comes from strangers. I'll give you a great example. I want you to open up a restaurant for friends and family, just people that know you. Now, theoretically, I could invent it in a way that would work. Okay, watch this. You know lots of people. They all eat food. They all eat food several times a day. Some of them eat too much food. So theoretically, your restaurant should be booming with business from all the people that know you personally that are eating food all day. Your restaurant should be bustling with all these people. But in reality, you know what would happen to your restaurant? You do, don't you? It would be out of business almost immediately because I don't care who you are. You don't know enough people to have a successful business. On the other hand, here's a new analogy. I would like you to open up a restaurant for strangers only. If I know you, beat it. Strangers only establishment. And my question is, could that work? And the answer is, yeah. It's called Chili's. It's called any restaurant, name it.
Right.
Nobody knows the proprietor of the restaurant, but it's booming with customers, booming with business. And the simple reason is maths. There are thousands of times more people you don't know than the tiny little sliver of people you do know. So we get into real estate thinking, well, I know some people, I'll start a business. It's absurd in any other business other than real estate that you would even think that way logically. What we have to transition to is a business where the overwhelming majority of our business is coming from marketing to strangers and compelling them to want to work with you based on the merits of your business. Here's the bright side. Once you figure that out, the sky's the limit because there's an infinite supply of strangers in the marketplace buying and selling real estate. Oh, there's a new one now. Oh, tomorrow there's another one. They're all strangers and they're all buying and selling real estate. And you've got a mechanism to attract them and to compel them to do business with you. You don't need all of them. You don't even need most of them. You need some.
So James, give me an example. For those of you who joined us a bit late, James MacDonald is who I'm interviewing. Many of you know him. Most of you know him if you've been hanging out with me. James and I have been working together for 30 years. We're talking about how the new world changes are going to affect your business when it comes to working with buyers. And by the way, if you're watching this from Canada, don't be too smug thinking, oh, well, that's a US situation. That's not going to affect me here in Canada. Yes, it will. We know that pretty much everything that happens in the US eventually makes its way to Canada. We got the same lawsuits happening in Canada right now. Now, if you have any questions for James and I, go ahead and type those into the chat. But we're going to give you a few examples of what you could offer to get buyers to contact you, right? Like what are we talking about? Of course, you guys understand the concept of, yeah, getting people that want to buy or sell calling me would be way better than me calling Zillow leads or door knocking or cold calling or sitting in open houses or doing floor time or chasing expired listings or for sale by owners or all the stuff they told you to do when you got into real estate. Here's my question. How's that going for you? Right? I mean, literally everything I just talked to you about is not only what you were told, it's what every real estate agent that gets their license, all 1.6 million real estate agents were told the same thing that you were told. So we want to teach you how to push against industry norms. Okay. How to do basically the opposite of what everyone else is doing. Many of you know my story. I go from, getting my license to 3 years later, becoming the #1 RE/MAX agent, not in the country, in the world for commissions earned, when I had never sold anything before I got into real estate. I had no marketing experience. I didn't really know a lot of people. How did I do that? Well, the first year was very difficult because, like you, I did all the stuff they told me to do and I was failing. And I couldn't fail. I didn't have the luxury of failing. Failing wasn't an option. So I had to figure it out. I had to study marketing and I had to study industries outside of real estate. And I realized there's a whole bunch of other industries outside of real estate that do very well. They make gazillions of dollars and no cold calling exists, no prospecting exists. So I started to take ideas from other industries and I implemented them in my business. Okay. A key to this was stumbling onto something called direct response marketing. Okay. This is not image marketing. This is not where you have a picture of you and your dog or you and your wife, and it's called spouses selling houses, or you in the middle of a cornfield saying, call Craig. He's number one in his field. Not you listing your designations. The marketing I'm referring to is not about you at all. It's about them. Who's them? It's about the buyers and sellers, the people you're trying to attract. So if your marketing right now is all about you, then it's not getting you the results you want. You want to pay attention to this. We have questions coming in. I see we've got one coming in here. So go ahead and type your questions in. I will refer to those in a minute. And Faith, we have a giveaway, I believe, today too. Do you want to just share that on the screen? There's some free information that all of you can have by simply dropping your email address into the comments below. And here comes Faith. And the report is called How to Reverse the Prospecting Process. So prospects chase you, you don't chase them. Okay, so we're giving this away to everybody. It's really like how I did it and what we teach agents from all over the United States and Canada. You can see there's pages and pages and pages of information, testimonials from people that are agents that are using this system. If you want more information on Craig Proctor and what we do, there's your chance. Drop your email address right now into the comments and we will email you this report on how to generate leads by getting buyers and sellers calling you. We call this the automatic reverse prospecting system. You offer something they really, really want, and you make it easy and non-threatening for them to get it, just like I did right there. Okay, if I offered you a report on, here's Craig Proctor's life story, and this report's nobody would order that, right? But I'm offering you something you're interested in, which is, hey, how do I stop cold calling and buying Zillow leads? How do I stop doing that? And instead implement effective marketing that's inexpensive and will make me a lot of money. That's what the report's about. And I made it easy, right? You don't have to call my office. You don't have to talk to anybody. You drop your email address in and we send it out. That's an example of what I want you to do. So we're going to talk about things that buyers and sellers really want. You may be offering something that buyers and sellers don't want. Now, you don't know that maybe, or maybe you do, but you've been told whatever it is that you're doing right now, somebody told you to do that. James, maybe you can talk about whatever the realtor that's watching this is doing. It's not like they invented it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whatever you're doing right now. You didn't invent it. You copied it from somewhere. Nobody invented, I think door knocking was invented about a week after they invented the door. So you can't exactly claim that you invented that or anything else you're doing right now. Referrals, we all copy. The problem is the model that you're copying is likely the model of convenience. And what I mean by that is when you got into real estate, the model that was right in front of you, that was shared by the other agents and maybe your broker or brokerage, it was the model of convenience. And it was probably this: make a list of friends and family, everyone you know, knock on doors, cold call, volunteer to do open houses. All of those things that are decades old are still being suggested to agents now. It's the model of convenience. You didn't invent it. You copied it from somewhere else. So all we're suggesting now is there's a better model to copy. It's still copying, but there's a better model to copy. And what we do with our coaching members is we look at their marketplace and we figure out what is in demand in your marketplace. What do buyers actually want? What are buyers buying? What are sellers selling? We use a scientific approach to figure out what they actually want, and then we offer it in a way that is different and better than what they could get on their own.
All All
Like,
right.
here's a
So
very simple
give me
example.
some examples. Give me some
Give you a
examples,
very
James.
simple example. Okay, I'm in an area called Carlsbad in San Diego County, California, and in my marketplace, let's say a high demand area is La Costa. So I'm going to offer properties in La Costa, but here's the problem. I know it's a high demand area, but anybody could go on Zillow or anywhere on the internet and find properties in La Costa. But what if I did an offer that went something like this? La Costa properties under $1 million. So right away, that's like, ooh, that's a good price. That's a good deal. And I said, off market, coming soon, not on the internet, free list updated every 5 minutes. Okay, now all of a sudden, not only am I offering what is in demand, La Costa properties around $1 million, but I'm offering them what they couldn't get anywhere else. Properties not on the internet. Ooh, not on the internet. Coming soon properties. Off market. Distressed properties. Immediate alerts to price reductions. Probates. Fixer-uppers. What we need to do is we can't offer what prospects can get on their own. We need to offer them what they can't get on their own. And when you do that, you know what turns out happens? Not only do buyers respond because there actually is demand, but sellers looking to sell those kinds of properties respond also. But the mistake we get caught up in is we're offering what prospects can find themselves. You know, offering a property that's on the MLS,
Yeah.
they don't
Which
really need you.
they see little to no value. So I'm going to ask
They don't need
everybody to look at your buyer offer. What do I mean by that? I mean, what you would say to a buyer. What would you say to a buyer to try to convince the buyer to do business with you? So what have we been taught? I'm going to email you the daily updates on the MLS translation. So what you're going to send me are homes I can find on the internet by myself. That's what the buyer's thinking. You've also been trained to say, I work really hard, as if the other agents don't work hard. I've lived in this town for 17 years. I'm a great negotiator. And the buyer's like, well, hang on a minute. Now that I can go to Zillow or 18,000 other websites, and I can find out who the house is, who has the house listed, maybe that's my best route. Maybe I could negotiate a better price without having you, right? So they're thinking these thoughts. You're not offering me anything that I can't get on my own. I can find, they believe, rightly or wrongly, they believe, a lot of buyers, I do not need a real estate agent to find a house. And I'm probably better now that I can see who has the houses listed. I can just go around you and go directly to the listing agent. And I believe maybe I could negotiate the best deal doing it that way. So we've got to improve your offer. We also know there's, in most marketplaces, a shortage of inventory, and the buyers are struggling to find what they want. A lot of you may have clients right now that would make a move, right? They would list their home with you, but they can't find another property. So even if you brought them an offer for 10% more than their home is worth, they wouldn't sell it because they would be homeless. So we help you find properties for your buyers that the buyers can't find on the internet. So we're going to give you a couple examples. Now, be open-minded about this, because what we're teaching you is very different than what you're doing or what you've ever heard of. One of the things that you could offer buyers is to get them access to unlisted and off-market homes. Now, I know immediately you think, well, that's illegal and that's called a pocket listing, but that's not true. A pocket listing would be if James MacDonald listed a house and he hid it from MLS, he didn't broker load it, that's disallowed, although they are challenging that now with all these rule changes. But right now, that's not allowed. We're not listing the house. Basically, what we're doing is you'd say to the buyer, well, tell me the neighborhood that you're looking in, because I'll get you access to all the homes that are listed, which is what you're saying now. But what's different is you could say, I'm also going to get you access to unlisted and off-market properties. So simply tell us the neighborhood you're interested in. We'll go into that neighborhood and we're going to communicate with all the homeowners in that area to find homeowners that, yes, would like to sell their house off market. Why? Because they don't have to go through the inconvenience and lose their privacy, listing their home the traditional way for many weeks and months. So I think we agree that's a trend. Sellers want convenience, and many sellers would sell their home even at a bit of a discount to avoid weeks or months of showings and inconvenience and losing their privacy, selling their home the traditional way. What's in it for the buyer is the buyer would literally be the only person that would know about these properties. So they're not in competition with other buyers. And the truth is, some of the best homes or the best deals that sell are offline properties. They're not on the market. They don't make it to the internet. So if you were to say to the buyer, hey, I can get you access to all the homes on the internet, which, by the way, you can find by yourself, and we can get you access to unlisted properties, off-market properties, distress sales, bank foreclosures, vacant homes, and company-owned properties. It's a free service. So us sending you this information is a free service, and you're never obligated to buy a house. Would that interest you? Now, you folks tell me, is that a better offer than what you might be saying now to a buyer? Remember, if your offer sounds like the same offer that all the other agents are making, and if the buyer perceives what you're offering, the daily updates, the I'm a good person, I work hard, I'm going to negotiate your best interests, if they perceive little value in that because they can now find their home, they believe, on the internet without you, you must do all you can to differentiate yourself from the other agents. You must be offering things that the buyer can only get through you. They can't do a quick Google search. They can't go online and find the properties that we're talking about here. So this is an example of one offer that we would make to buyers. And then with sellers, I'll give you guys an example with sellers. So James, this is what I was taught to say. I need listings. If I wanted to attract sellers, it'd be a picture of me and it would say, I'm Craig Proctor with RE/MAX and I need listings, as if anybody cares about that.
Right.
Or
thinking of selling, call me now.
Yeah, call me. Yeah, call me. Call me to list your home. It's
Lord
more
knows
of
I could use the money.
I don't know if that was a request or a command. Call me now to list your home.
Right.
Okay. Or how about this? Would you like a free CMA, which we know what that means, but the public doesn't even, what's that mean? Comparative market analysis. Why don't we just say, what is a comparative market? It means find out what your home is worth. Why don't we just say that? So would you like to know what your home is worth? Problem. I can go to Zillow. I can go to Redfin. I can go to all these different websites.
Right.
And online, I don't have to talk to a salesperson. And I can get all these different opinions of what my house is worth. And by the way, if they go, James, if they go to 5 of these different websites,
they get 5 different.
Got 5 different prices. Right. Which price does the seller believe?
The highest one,
the highest one, of course, the highest one. So rather than saying, I can, tell you what your house is worth, which again, the homeowners can find out that information online on these public sites. What if you said instead, I can help you determine what you're going to net in your pocket? Which is something that most of you do anyway, right? If you met with a seller, you would look around at their house, you would go through all the comparable home sales, and then you would talk about what they're going to net in their pocket after their mortgage. They pay off their mortgage and mortgage penalties and their commission and stuff. So these are things that you do anyway once you meet with the seller. But I want
the least expensive things you should do to make your home worth more money in this turbulent market.
Exactly.
Show me the seller that says, oh, I don't want to know how to make it worth more money. No, I wouldn't be interested in that. You've got to offer information they can't get anywhere else. And once you hit on that, what you'll discover, prospects are everywhere. This scarcity that most agents live in doesn't exist anymore. There's abundance. There are plenty of people that are listing their home for sale, that are looking to buy a home. If you can't find them, it's because you're not making offers, or the offers you're making are insufficient.
Yeah, look, that's another great example, right? Many of you are really good at that. You meet with a seller, you look at their property, and you're pretty good. How many of you think you're really good at giving advice of inexpensive things that the seller could do to sell their home for more money. For example, clean the carpets, replace the carpets, neutralize the paint in the house,
staging, little landscaping,
staging, little landscaping.
painting.
So that advice that you give, and you're good at it, could help the seller possibly sell their home for $10,000 more. So again, these are two things that all of you do after you meet with the seller. What I'm going to suggest is we flip it around and we communicate these two things before you meet with the seller. You're going to use this to get the meeting. So here's what it would sound like. Instead of saying, list your home with me, I'm really good, you can trust me, I lived in this town for 17 years, I really want your business, I want you to say this. And instead of saying, I can tell you what homes in your neighborhood or what your house is worth, which again, they can find that information on the internet, I want you to say this. Not only can I tell you what the homes in your area have sold for, I can help you determine what you're going to net in your pocket after all the associated expenses. That's the most important to you, is what most important numbers, what you're going to net in your pocket after all of the fees. Also, I can give you my advice on inexpensive things that you could do to sell your home for $10,000 more. Right? What to do and what not to do, inexpensive and easy things to increase the value of your home. So now we've got an offer. It's unique, right? It doesn't sound like what the other agents are offering, and it's something homeowners can't find on their own, right? It's not like the homeowner can go to Google and figure out what they're going to net in their pocket when they sell their home after all the associated expenses. They don't know that. The homeowners really aren't sure what they should do and what they should not do when it comes to preparing their home for sale to net the highest price. So these are examples of unique offers. Okay, what are the common ingredients with the buyer offer example we just gave you and the seller offer? These are things, number one, that the buyers and sellers really want, and number two, they can't find it without you. It's not being offered by other real estate agents, and it's not something they can find with a quick Google search. So this is how we do it. These are just very quick examples of things that you would offer online. Darlene is asking, out of all the social media online avenues, which is the best to focus on? Obviously, Facebook is great. YouTube is great. What you're going to find is when you have a great message, all of the media start to work for you. So typically when agents, James and I have been doing this for 30 years, when agents come to us, they quite often say things like, well, Facebook doesn't work and Instagram doesn't work and YouTube doesn't work and direct mail doesn't work. And that's because they don't have the right message. They don't have the right offer. So if you've got a weak offer, it doesn't matter where you run the weak offer, right? If you've got a strong offer, it'll work on all different media. Now, some will work better than others, but the nice thing about direct response marketing is you can measure everything that you do, and you're going to be able to track it and say, oh, okay, this particular ad or campaign is working really well on Facebook or YouTube, and these other things aren't working as well. And you can start to shift your marketing based on the results. So we have to wrap this up soon. Let us know what you think. Go ahead and type your questions or comments in. If you found that, hopefully you found this extremely helpful. Let us know in the comments below. If you'd like information on what we do, if you'd like to book a free call with us, a business building call, we call it a business consultation breakthrough call, go to CraigProctorCall.com. Okay, we'll type that into the comments below, CraigProctorCall.com. We'll spend 45 minutes. It costs you $0. And we would have a conversation with you about your business, where you are in your business, and we would show you examples of how you could plus what you're doing by implementing some Craig Proctor strategies. It's not a big sales pitch. We're going to actually analyze your business. You can tell us how you're doing it, and we would give you suggestions on how we would improve what it is that you're doing so you can get better results and make more money and have more, not only more money, but more time and more freedom in your life. Before
Craig,
we wrap
just
this up,
on that note, there's one thing I will say about that. And that is that 9 out of 10 of the agents that we talk to that reach out because they want to better their business, what we discover is this: you do not have a cost problem in your business. You have an income problem in your business. Your problem is that what you do spend money on produces no income. So if you just focus on the spend, a lot of times we can actually cut what you're spending money on. So this isn't about spending more money. In a lot of cases, it's about spending less money, but it's about doing things that produce income. Because I'll tell you this, income is the solution in your business to almost, I say almost every problem. Almost every problem can be remedied by producing more income. Not all of them, but the overwhelming majority of the problems. So if we're only engaged in activities that produce income, everything changes. And here's a little secret. That doesn't require you spending more money most times. There are plenty of things you can do for free or at very little cost. You could actually spend less than you're spending right now, but it's income producing activity. You just need a chance to explore that. So I put my direct email in here, by the way, as well. If any of you want to talk to me directly about it, just email me. We'll set up a time. I will spend as much time as needed with you. And no pressure. You can explore your options, but we've been doing this a long, long time. The ship has sailed on whether this works or not. I won't debate that with you. That's not up for debate. Whether this is a good fit for you and a good time, well, maybe that is, but that's something that we can certainly explore. And if you don't ask and you don't explore, you'll never know.
Yep, we've done this for 30 years, James and I together. We've created more millionaire agents than any other coach or trainer or guru. You should have a coach. Who that coach is really, really matters. Why would you want to go coachless in an industry that's going through massive changes? Now, everything that we've teach you, we have thousands of agents all over the United States and Canada successfully doing what we teach. You've heard about my track record. I've sold over 10,000 homes as a real estate agent. I was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world. So everything is here for you to copy. All you have to say is, I want to investigate this. There's no downside at all to emailing James or booking your call. It's absolutely $0 to investigate this. If you're still watching this, it's a good sign, right? It means you're interested in a better approach. So I hope you guys truly enjoyed this. Let us know your any of your comments or questions. Go ahead and type them in. And James, thank you so much for doing this today.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for participating, everyone. And yeah, that was fun.
Great. This is real estate coach Craig Proctor, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all next time. Take care. Hi, this is Craig Proctor. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed that video. And listen, I've got a lot more information for you to help you grow your real estate business. You see, several times a week, I record new videos and I load them onto this YouTube channel. What I'd like you to do, if you'd like to access them, are two important things, and both are totally free. Number one is I'd like you to subscribe to this channel. You're gonna see a little subscribe button for you to click on. And if you don't already have an account with YouTube, it's free for you to set it up. It's really easy, it's free, but you've got to subscribe to this channel. And the most important thing is to ring the little bell right next to the subscribe button. And that's gonna let you know every time I load new money-making videos to help you grow your real estate business. So make sure you subscribe right now, you ring the little bell, and we'll see you on the next video.